Yo, yo, yo.
This is a recorded episode. We didn't do our live session, but we're still giving you content.
Playing catch up,
We still live though. We still live.
We're still live. How have you guys been though? A quick catch up.
I tell you what, my life is hectic right now. So getting ready to start the school year. So
wow.
Got a brand new job, brand new location. So yeah.
Man.
Good problems. Good problems.
Yo, Kam, How about you? What's new in your life? What's happened?
Oh man. Wifey is due any day now. So if I bust the RG3, take the headset off and run out of here. Cause we go time right now. So any time we could be expecting that little one to come in his world. So it's exciting times for sure.
Do you have like a to-go bag already planned out with
Oh yeah. I got the fit already.
Hey,
already planned out. We packed and ready to roll.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, man, we're excited.
That's beautiful. It's always an event for baby number one. Like everything from the classes you take, the breathing exercises, being like the companion during that space of helping wifey go through this historical monumental time of having her first child. Man, it's something that it's you get to do it one time, but man, salute to you and your queen, man. Hopefully everything is good and hey, people that listen and watch this show, we'll try to keep him as long as we can, because I know when that baby gets here.
I'm gonna stay in it. That's the
no
plan.
3-year hiatus.
Nah, we can't do that, man. Nah. We gotta roll with the punches, man.
Roll. Hey,
sure.
Yeah. If you could sustain life and be functional with very little sleep, then you're good. You're good to go.
Yeah, that's yet to be determined. We're gonna see.
So, fellas, it's been an eventful weekend.
Hey,
an eventful weekend. Some people celebrated. Some people did not celebrate. Both boxing, mixed martial arts. There were some main bouts in all over the world, actually. From Australia to Canada, we had a lot going on. I know a lot of you may want us to talk about what you really want us to talk about, as you can see from the title when we started. Let's slow walk this dog, right?
Hey,
yeah, let's go.
Let's start with.
Are we talking about Christian Mbili versus Sergey Derevyanchenko?
I watched this one.
Canadian.
Let's go Kam Gee in the world of boxing first.
Okay, so I was really intrigued by the fight because I've seen Derevyanchenko fight, people like Danny Jacobs some years ago, and Triple G, been competitive in all these fights, but he has he's racked up some 5 losses. Another Ukrainian fighter gets on the main card. It's like 3 weeks in a row, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. But and then Mbili, he's undefeated, untested Canadian boxer, really originally from Cameroon.
Yep.
Yeah, and they got some good fighters out here, and was really intrigued by the fight. When I was kind of disappointed because of Derevyanchenko's injury early in the fight, and he basically was one-handed. It still was a great fight.
Yeah,
but I feel like we didn't really get the fight that we really could have. And he really showed a lot of heart, but at the same, I'm talking about Derevyanchenko.
Right.
But that's one of those fights where you're really like, dang, like you might not be physically right after a fight like this because you were fighting with one hand,
right?
And put up a amazing fight. And we saw some skill from Mbili. We saw a really good right hand from him, but I guess the blemish on the fight is that you fought a one-handed fighter and you had to go to to the end, which
Distance.
is credit for Derevyanchenko. And Billy, he did enough to win the fight. So next, of course, he wants to fight Canelo, but you know, everybody wants Canelo. Payday. So.
I saw, like, this is not quote for quote, but I saw what Starkey said after the fight, and he was, of course, he talked about the injury, and I think he may have said in round 7 where he felt like he had something happened with, I don't know if it's his bicep or something, and he said, "Well, I don't know how the fight would have gone if I didn't have the hand issue." But really and truly, you're fighting a 28-year-old. You're like 30, 38?
He was 38 years old.
38, and he's been into some wars. Like you talked about a Jacobs, you talked about a Triple G. Seeing the style of a young Billy, pressure fighter, run you down, pressure. Try to, I don't know. I think age may have been a factor too, because even before the so-called injury, Billy just looked like, yeah, this is him. He had the audience. They were fighting in Montreal. It just looks like it was set up for him to win that fight. Quebec, sorry. Quebec, yeah. So,
yeah. Sergey, great resume. Great resume as far as competition,
Right.
He's been on the wrong side of those bouts, but it's still impressive that, that he's gone up against those names. And in Billy, the one name that sticks out to me is Ronald Ellis, which the average person is not going to recognize it, but the Ellis brothers are big in the boxing as far as they do a lot of quality sparring. And Ellis is they're tough. They're tough. But again, it was a good quality, entertaining fight. Is he ready for Canelo? No. Is Berlanga ready for Canelo? I mean, I'm looking at it. If compare the resumes. Compare Billy's resume versus Berlanga's resume.
Right. If he's gonna fight Berlanga, he can fight him, Billy.
Yeah.
I mean,
how tall is Billy? If you don't mind.
I think they had him
at
10.
Let me see.
He might be that Canelo had that 5'8". We can check it real quick, but he looked physically strong, and I really did like his right hand, and he's pressure. What was that?
He's big, but he's 5'8", 5'8" and a half, so about 5'9".
Yeah, he had a good frame, good base on him. It's just you would think that fighting a one-handed fighter, you would be able to take advantage of that. But that just, like I said, what I said earlier is it just shows a lot of what Derevyanchenko is made of. So, right. I mean, in the division, there's not many people for Billy to fight at this point. I mean, you got over 20 victories, 20 knockouts, and you're a number one contender. Like, let's just see what happens when they get in the ring. But very entertaining fight nonetheless. And the Canadians had several fighters out that night.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Hey, he can fight a Charlo.
Oh, yeah,
that's somebody we didn't name against that Sergey went against.
I was okay. Yeah, that was one of them. Yep.
So
12 round. Yeah. So he's a tough out. 15-6, 38 years old, Ukrainian fighter. Those guys are just, hey man, they just know how to fight, man, and they've been getting some tough close losses lately, but these Ukrainian guys, they keep coming up every weekend.
It's like the whole of Eastern Europe.
Eastern
Ukraine, they all like
Kazakhstan.
Dagestan, all them, they all fight. They are fighters for sure.
Yeah.
So
I guess the one thing we can end it, or the one thing we can take is that if there is an Mbili fight, it might happen in a French soccer stadium. That'll check off the bucket list, right?
Yeah, that would be pretty dope.
If he could pull like the average size of a French soccer stadium. We're talking about like Olympic Marseille Stadium or PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. These are huge. These are like 50,000.
That's. I've heard that was on Canelo's bucket list.
Canelo does 40,000.
Really? Yeah.
Canelo does 40,000. Yeah. Madison Square Gardens is only like 35,000.
I think even less than that. Basketball arena. Well, if you count the floor.
Yeah. So
maybe I'll squeeze some more in there.
And Billy may be doing a second division soccer team stadium, like them stadiums.
Yeah, he had electric crowd, man. They really came out, and that's promoters always looking at how the hometown is reacting to guys.
I think they fought at the Center of Videotron. Let me see where did they fight it in Quebec. I think it's called the Center Videotron. I wonder what the size that place is, but it's neither here or there. But yeah, they showed up for him though. When watching it on Top Ranking, they showed up for him. So we'll see what Mr. Bob Arum and then have for him. So
all right, I'll say strap the treble on this one, and I'll take a stab at it. Makhmudov versus Villaneo.
Makhmudov versus Greedo.
Hey, my man was flawless.
I tried to for the Villanello. Bro, Makhmudov. I've seen both of them. I think Makhmudov fought. Who lost to Ajagba? Was it Villanello? Their last fight?
I think it's
they lost to Ajagba by decision. I watched, and then Makhmudov also fought one of my friend's friend. And you may know him. He has a friend called Raphael. He played football for the University of Miami, and he later on he's like 6'8". Later on transitioned to being a professional boxer. That's the first time I saw Makhmudov fight. Just this unknown big brute Russian dude beat up Raphael. Respect to you, Raphael, though. Respect to you. But yeah, he got beat up pretty bad.
Damn.
It was a doctor stoppage. He just had nasty eye jammy that he could not see from his eye. His left eye was,
that like a orbital bone fracture.
Yeah,
that was ugly, man. That was ugly.
It was pretty bad. It was supposed to be like an 8-round bout. 10-round bout. By the 8th round, it was stopped. So, Greedo ended up winning. Fellows, do you have any takes from that? Any significant things that you see in these two heavyweight fighters? Are they ready for the step up, the Jengs of this world? The Andy Ruiz, dare I say, both the big babies, whether it's Anderson or Miller. Where do you see this third tier? Actually, third tier is fair to say. Third tier of heavyweight fighting.
Yeah, third tier.
Yeah,
but it was again like there's a place, right? There's a place for these fights, and it's on the undercard, and it's giving people that excitement as they're waiting for the main event.
Yeah, have you noticed? And maybe it's been happening since the early 2000s. Growing up as a kid in the 90s and late 80s, heavyweights were like kind of like athletic. And then around 2002, they became brutes, like flat-footed brutes that are like 6'8", 6'6".
There was definitely a change in the guard.
I definitely felt that with the Klitschko. They were big and strong and moved a little different, fought in that Soviet style with the long guard. But yeah, now you got guys like, Jarrell Miller, 300 pounds, and Big Bang Zhang, and 280, and our guy from the DRC, his name is slipping me right now, but coming in at these crazy weights, Tyson Fury being another one of them. Makhmudov just looked. I mean, I think he was a Canadian fighter, if I'm not mistaken. It looked like
Russian Canadian.
Yeah, that was an interesting mix. But he was just big, slow, but anytime you can see a guy that can close another man's eye, you gotta take note.
Yeah.
So seeing him against those some of those other European fighters, heavyweights that are out there. I could definitely see some fights like that getting made. But, you know, you really gotta. I feel like it's really tough to judge going against Makhmudov, considering his style was just, and Vianello was able to just take advantage of clean right hands all night long, close the eye up, and hey, you don't play boxing.
Isn't that like the same that same kind of pathway as Bivol? Dmitry Bivol is like, yeah,
he's like a robot,
Russian Canadian,
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. That was. I enjoyed the fight card though for sure, but yeah, that was when you see the eyes full like that, you're like, please stop the fight. Yeah, you definitely could have stopped it a little early. Like, you know, that man got a family.
Yeah, while I was watching this, it struck me. I'm like, yo, what's happening? I mean, I already knew it from the early 2000s, but I remember as a kid, my dad telling me Frank Bruno was a brute. I went back to watch Frank Bruno's videos. He looks like a cruiserweight.
Yeah, he can move.
He looked like a cruiserweight. And then they used to consider Lennox Lewis kind of like a stiff jab, like not as athletic as a Holyfield or, you know, and then the Ray Masters of the world, but they look small. Yeah. Like they were more like action figure muscles, but like they were not these big towering dudes like nowadays. Man. Like it's a whole different breed of heavyweights. And to tell you the truth, I almost fell asleep.
Yeah.
Respect, but as a kid, man, the heavyweight was the main event. Like, but
yeah, electrifying.
Electric. Yeah. But anyways, not too eventful. Like we said, he was stopped by the doctor. Guido won the fight, and salute to both fighters. Hopefully, Makhmudov recovers, comes back better than ever, and, you know, does his family, his country proud.
For sure.
Okay, now this one was a fun one. This one was a must-see.
Oh, yeah.
So we got Aslis Iglesias versus Sina Agbeko.
Do you know the backstory about this? He didn't have a fighter. He didn't have an opponent. That's Iglesias. Till like 2 days to the fight. And
oh, wow.
My man stepped up. But
wow,
you're stepping up to fight this hungry Cuban fighter who is known to be the next one up. You already know what happened next.
Yeah, what was that, the second round?
Short notice, step up, respect to you, get your bag, but 2 knockdowns in the first round. I already knew where this was going.
Yeah.
But the second round, I'm like, yo, he's done. It's over with. Salute to my Ghanaian brother. Respect to you. You got the bag, Santa. But man,
yeah, it's tough taking a fight last minute, man.
Thank you for giving this man a stat. He's legit. He's legit, and he's gonna be a problem. He's gonna be a problem, and that's Iglesias in the super middleweight. TKO stopped. Yeah, you know, easy work.
All right, then we'll just keep it moving along then.
Unless
you got something to add, Cam.
Oh no, man!
You saw that?
Yeah, man. It was 2 days' notice, couple knockdowns. Yeah, get him out of there. Save him from himself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Practice.
All right, we got Leila Boudin versus Elizabeth Crespo.
This was a good fight. I don't respect to these two ladies. I don't know them. But they were so entertaining, and I like the background because, you know, Top Ranking did a good job breaking the history of these two fighters. Leila Boudin.
Yeah, you might have said it better than me.
Yeah, you might be in your bag today, bro.
Leila Boudin and Elizabeth Crespo, both two different type of fighters. Their height difference is about 6 inches. I think Leila is about 5'9", and then the Bolivian Boudin is about 5'4", 5'5". You know, there was you could see the size difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Leila was fighting at home. You could see the crowd was You know, the Canadian crowd was all on Layla's side. Crespo showed heart, but you know, you could tell, like, you know, the momentum was on Layla's side. She was at home, she was feeling it, just jabbing away. Even though she was smaller, she tried to do like not like the peekaboo, but she was trying to get inside, trying to, you know, take away the advantage of height. Still didn't work. It was a decision win for Layla, and yeah, salute to the both ladies for showing up and both of them showing heart.
All right.
I was watching this fight thinking about women's boxing having 2-minute rounds and thinking, like, why can't we get 3-minute rounds out of, you know, from the ladies? And because there was some damage being taken by Elizabeth. And you're thinking, like, you know, I'm watching the fight thinking, man, another minute in this round could, you know, really make things a little more interesting as far as, you know, the physical damage inflicted, you know, round and round. And I don't know, it was just a thought I had watching this fight. Like, man, it's like watching women's boxing. A lot of these fights are very entertaining, and we get a full minute less than we doing on the men's side. So,
all right. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's a double-edged sword. If we add that minute, you know, do we think we see them start pacing themselves a little bit more, you know, or do we get the action because they know they got a limited time to just, you know, put themselves on display? Yeah, I know for a fact that Clarissa has pushed for it in the past, and she's tried to get some people to agree to it, but I don't think that it'll fly because, you know, it's just not the rules yet. So,
right,
that's a good question. That's a good question, Cam. And you, I mean, I don't know, LT, correct me if I'm wrong. You, amongst us here who are speaking on this panel, you've been you box. I've seen your fights before, right? And it's well documented. I've seen your videos in the boxing ring, right? Fighting actually with no helmet, like a professional fight, kind of. That's how you fight. But you wearing headgear?
You talking about me?
Yes.
No. Yeah, we were doing like a exhibition event.
Exhibition, okay.
Yeah, but
this.
No, go ahead.
There's something that I was, because I listened to a whole bunch of combat podcasts for ex-fighters, and there's something that one boxer said, was an African boxer, Justin Juko. He's a Ugandan dude, destroyer, and he's part of like he's helping like the youth get out of the streets in Uganda and bring them into boxing and stuff like that. He said boxing really, to get knocked out, this is a two ways, right? There's death by 1,000 cuts. Right. Small little cuts. There's brute, you know, whip strength. It doesn't even have to be power. Sorry. It's just like a whip. Like the Deontay Wilder, it's not like necessarily superhuman strength. He just has that explosiveness that will just catch you. And he will also say, Justin will also say punches that you don't see are the ones that will flatten you, right? Yeah. And then there's your legs giving up on you. And you not knowing that you're tired, you didn't do your preparation to fight the rounds that you have to fight. I could see how 3 rounds would help an athlete like Clarissa to actually increase on her KOs, because now she's taking them to the deep waters. Your legs are going to give up on you. How long are you going to, you know, if I'm doing body to head, that's also cardio on the receiving side. Even if you're playing good, you're doing good defense, your legs quit. Once your legs quit, your hands get heavy. And guess what? Now, even if I don't have that power to knock you out in 1 round, I'll get you in the 8th. And I think that will make women's boxing even more very interesting. I may be wrong. I've never been in the ring, but I do think that extra round kind of challenges your cardio, challenges your mental fortitude, and actually represents the deep waters that boxers talk about. The deep waters, you have to dig deep. LT, if you boxed before, tell me, does that make sense?
Absolutely. It absolutely does. You have to imagine, because in training, the rounds in training are longer than the usual rounds. So you have to imagine that the same applies to the women's side. But I can definitely see where you're coming from on that.
Right. Right. I actually was looking up, so they had some studies to try to see if there was a difference between withstanding punches or concussions and things like that, and it's very inconclusive. Or there's just not enough studies to support going 2 minutes versus 3 minutes in women's boxing. So it's pretty, from what I was able to gather, it was just an arbitrary number placed on women's boxing by men that were overseeing the sport. And as far as the research suggests, there is no nothing to support a 2 minute round as far as, you know, being safer than the 3 minute rounds for men or things like that. So I thought that was interesting. So I'm watching this fight, just kind of thinking that I'm a nerd. I'm over here Googling stuff, watching the fight and reading these things, because the fight was okay.
On the contrary,
it made me think of other women's fights that we've seen here in recent times and think like, dang, I wish I could have got another minute. I might have seen some different outcomes in some of these fights. I didn't even think about Clarissa, because she doesn't have a high KO percentage, and you know, that's something that could be possible. But it's just an interesting thing when you're watching women's boxing, that it's you don't think about it till the fight is on. It's like, oh, damn, it's just 2 minutes versus that 3 minute round. So yeah, you know, that was just something that I was thinking about as I was just watching these fights.
On the contrary, that sometimes there's some fighters, and this is from a casual speaking, right? Not a person who's, and I'm not speaking about myself. This is just based on what I would hear a casual say, right? A person that is not into the sweet science, a friend of mine who wants to stop by to see action. They may appreciate even 2 minute rounds for men if you're Floyd Mayweather and you're trying to ride your bike, you're trying to show your defensive wit. If you're trying to show how I can not get hit, all that stuff. There's some people that would find a fight very long if they don't get that these guys want to go at it, where they're just seeing boxing and they're like, another round, you know what I mean? Another minute, sorry, not another.
Because
minute. So
the other side of that coin is that people try to steal rounds by coming out hard 30, 45, taking the middle off, and then stealing the last 45, 30. So that's a good discussion right there.
I think it'll come back up. It's some clamoring out there here and there, but yeah, just something to think about.
For sure. Moving right along. Abdullah Mason versus Michael Hahn Jr.
I like Abdullah Mason. I've been watching him slowly. Don't want to get too giddy and say, yo, he's next. But I have my eye on him as a fighter in his division, the lightweight division. Before I say what I have to say, Kam G, what's your take on this?
Oh man, just seeing you, it's just his talent pops off the screen. You know, when he throws a flurry, you're like, oh, like dang, like he really is eye catching. And you know, as far as what we've been able to gather from him, seems very likable, very hungry. Definitely someone that is going to be a force in the division here real soon. And he's staying really busy. That's what I really love about him. I believe this was his fourth fight this year. Yeah, I might be wrong, but staying really busy, which I feel like is really great for a young fighter, building his name, staying sharp, getting better each time we've seen him. So, you know, I thought he made easy work of this guy. And he did what he was supposed to do. He showed his talent, showed his skills, and he got the dub, and he on to the next one. So yeah, anytime he on the card, you know, we definitely should be checking in though. So
absolutely,
I would definitely like for us to keep an eye on him as he moves up the ranks.
You know, like watching him reminds me of 2016. Was it 2016 Olympics? First time I saw Shakur Stevenson. That it was just a breath of fresh air seeing a fighter like that. You know, as you know, Shakur was known for his speed. His reflexes were just crazy. Even in the Olympics, I was like, "Oh, this kid is the truth from New Jersey." I don't know where he's from. Is he Patterson or Newark? I don't know. He gives me that vibe.
Yeah.
Newark. This Abdullah Mason from Ohio. He gives me that same vibe. I don't want to like gas him up like we gas Shakur. Making him into a fighter that really he's not. He's really good. But we kind of like made him like a boogeyman of that, before he got into more fights, so we could understand the profile of the type of profile that he is of a fighter. Great fighter still. Shakur, I'm still a fan. But I like what I saw. And also salute to the young man, Mike Ohan Jr. He stepped up last minute from the person that he was Mason was supposed to fight. Mason. Respect to Mike Ohan. He got dog walked a little bit. A couple of knockdowns. I stopped counting. I think it was 2-3, and then Mike's corner was like, "Nah, good. Protect my fight. Like, just stop. It's second round. Stop." But yeah, that was eventful by Top Ranking. I like Top Ranking. Fights are free. I mean, to most people are like, well. Free if you have cable, but hey, we find ways to watch them, even if you don't have cable.
Hey, we need that. We need easier access to boxing. That's how you can maintain the sport. So, I remember being young watching Friday night fights on ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN,
and Wednesday night fights. I believe they had on like ESPN2 or something. That's how I saw Emmanuel Augustus fight a few times on ESPN.
So since we're going down memory lane, you guys were talking earlier about the heavyweights, and I wasn't going to say anything, but there was one on FSN, and it was Corey Sanders, if you remember that. When we were talking about these big heavyweights, this was after the legitimate boxers had retired, but they had built this like the heaviest boxing match of all time.
So
FSN Sports.
Yeah.
Was that when Jelly Bean and them like you popping off back in the day?
Butterbean.
Butterbean. So I say Jelly Bean.
This is post Butterbean, but I'm a Butterbean fan. I'm a Tua fan. I like all of that stuff. I grew up on that. So
yeah, that's fire.
More like a sideshow.
Nah, but it maintained the sport. It was etched in our memories, and we maintain our fandom.
Absolutely.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead if you want to throw another one in there.
I was gonna say, as a kid, in Uganda, we didn't have like Showtime, HBO. We had a national TV that it was kind of like a third party like deal for fights, the same way you have we had like something called Super Sport, and we got a lot of USA fights and UK fighters. And as a kid, Ebanks was my favorite. Ebanks Senior. Man, he was nice. And then of course we talk about Prince Nassim. I went through that era. I thought nobody could mess with Prince Nassim, and until I discovered the truth in Floyd Mayweather, man, and I forgot all about the other fighters. That's what I wanted to add about, some old school.
Good times.
Core memories.
So now we're going to shift and transition to the main draw of the weekend. Talk about the middleweight championship, correct? Middleweight.
This is I think what's it? It's not light heavy. Yeah, middleweight. It's middleweight.
We're talking about Plessis versus Stylebender.
DDP versus the Stylebender.
Go ahead and break this one off, Strap.
So before I even talk about the fight, you have to talk about prior to the fight. There's history here. As you guys know, Israel Adesanya is Nigerian. A Nigerian that migrated to New Zealand. Cut his teeth in New Zealand, fought all over the world, made his name in China in kickboxing, did a little bit of boxing, and then pivoted to the UFC. He has about, even to this last fight, he has over 100 professional fights and 90-something wins. So at his age of 35, I believe, or 34, he is a legend in the fight world. One thing about Izzy, how he identifies himself, he's Nigerian first, and then he's New Zealand second. His aura, his tattoo on his chest is Africa. Let's go to the next opponent. DDP. Dricus has not lost in 6 years. He's a phenom coming out of South Africa, of African, I think it's Africano Botha background. So he's African of descendants of, I think, the Netherlands, who settled down there. They were farmers. And pretty much, if you know about apartheid, you know about all that stuff. Not saying it's on him, but it's the history of South Africa. You know, there was a lot of separation. A year and a half ago, maybe 2022, I believe. Somebody fact check me while I talk, so I don't sound stupid while I speak. But DDP said that he is the he is the real African in the UFC. He said Kamaru, Francis Ngannou, and Izzy are not real Africans because they don't live in Africa.
Dang.
Kamaru, he raised in Dallas. Ngannou migrated to France, now lives in Vegas. Izzy lives in New Zealand. DDP lives in South Africa, trains in South Africa. His money and the taxes to his UFC money goes into the South African economy. That muddied the waters. That pissed off Izzy because of the history of the whole thing. So it made a good plot. Decide your villain. There was the famous Duplessis win. Izzy walks in the ring, and Izzy was calling him brother. And then he said the N-word. Izzy said the N-word. I dare you to say it, since you're African. What? And then Duplessis responded, you should not a brother of mine. Drops the mic. Ooh. Controversy steers. I say this to say that these two people have bad blood prior. So it made this particular event a spectacle. It was Izzy coming back from his last loss. He had, after this, if you didn't watch it, spoiler alert, he lost the fight. But this is a back-to-back loss. He lost to Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland beat Izzy very convincingly. Izzy took a hiatus. Time to recover, time to reset. He had been a champion for too long. He defended his championship 12 consecutive times. I think second or third highest in the UFC history. Only behind, I think, John Bones and Spider.
Sounds about right.
Let's get into the fight. Now you guys get the context. And here we'll bounce off between whoever watched the fight. I saw this fight. I was pissed off at the end result. Not saying I'm choosing a side, but I like Izzy. I like Stylebender. He's the most electrifying UFC fighter, one of the most electrifying UFC fighters, right?
Yes.
Very engaging, very entertaining. Knocks out people. He likes to stand up. He likes to box. He likes to kick. That's his thing. He knocks out people, or he does his thing. He does his damn thing. He fumbled. He fumbled really bad.
Absolutely.
He fumbled really bad. He was winning that fight. He was dominating that fight. And then
Duplessis had a strong start, I would say. I mean, would you agree?
I would say his second round was convincing when he started taking him down.
Mm-hmm.
Taking him down. He had a few takedowns. He tried to pin Izzy down, and he had an awkward way he would engage in a strike, like a Superman, weird, like all feet in the air type of punching. I'm like, is this a fighter? Is this Du Plessis? But that was just to get Izzy off, because most strikers, most guys that box always do that shell thing. They're not used to somebody attacking them or fighting them weird. Like, it kind of puts you off, because even when you're training and practicing with other strikers, most likely they fight like you, unless you really find an unconventional street fighter to come and prepare for, like, you know what I mean. In most cases, boxers have the same discipline, and in small little micro things, like either coach, it's mainly coaching, the coach's mentality. If you're fighting out of the crunk gym, you know what the mentality is in there. It's all gas, no brakes, right? If you're fighting with Mark Braylon, he's gonna give you wait, look for your moment, right? If you're fighting for Teddy Roach, he's gonna, if you're a big guy and you hop, he's gonna like tell you, yo, conserve energy. We're gonna do this because if you're fighting for, your coaches pretty much are the personality that you bring into the ring, right? Because of how their philosophy of fighting. UFC is a little different, because you have a person that wants to take you down. You have a person that wants to kick you on the head. So all that, shelling yourself, it may not work. So it's very unconventional, and that's what I think Du Plessis did. And I don't want to spoil what he did. I'll let LT finish, because LT was saying you're about to talk about what you saw with that fight.
Yeah, so again, I'll agree to that, because it appeared that Izzy had regained control of the fight. And he fumbled. He fumbled. And I knew in that instant, I was like, okay, now don't mess up. And as soon as I said it, I was like, I couldn't afford it. You had the cat in the bag. Bag in hand.
It's a listen to all, to show you that there's, watching it at that time, of course I had guests over at the house, but I was so locked in. I was hearing voices in the background. I was so locked in. I was just in flow state, right? Watching how these two different style fighters just engage, right? And then it hit me after watching a million rounds of UFC that, golly, you could be really good at any form of fighting, but if you do not know how to defend, you're done for. Like, how does this guy fake him and get to his neck and choke him out? Like, how does he did everything to bait you so I could get behind your back and choke you out. Like, it just reflects so much to all these guys that when I'm around young dudes, that young dude energy, like, yo, let's wrestle, let's fight. Like yo, the human body is so fragile. Like, you may be good at boxing, but if you fight like a UFC guy, he may not want to box with you, and he's gonna bait you so you end up on the ground. That's why he wants you, and put you in that vulnerable state, like taking a lion and bringing it to the water to fight a shark. Yeah, you good on the ground, on the land, but in the water, I'm king out here. So, and that reminded me, like, yo, you really, really need to be good at everything. I mean, not good at, you have to have at least good defense to prevent yourself from showing your vulnerabilities. And Iggy didn't do that, then he got caught.
So with thinking about Iggy, because that's one of the few fighters that I follow in the UFC right now. And then looking at his last few fights, he's lost to DDP here recently, Sean Strickland, and then he beat Pereira, and then lost to Pereira. So I can't say the name, but you're looking at somebody that out of his last 4 fights has 3 losses. and he KO'd Pereira, and then that last time he was able to knock somebody out before that or submission was back in 2020 against Paulo Costa.
Paulo Costa, yep.
Yeah, so for me, I guess when I saw the end of the fight, I'm like, I'm really hoping I'm not witnessing the end of my guy's reign in the sport. I'm like, dang, because the Sean Strickland fight was surprising to watch, to see him just get tagged with just standing. Fought a guy that covered up, boxed him, and then this fight you end up losing, by submission. Yeah, man, I'm really just hoping that seeing the result of this fight, that it's not doesn't mean that we're seeing the end of Izzy. It's just some bad luck right now, but it does make you wonder. You've seen this happening in this in mixed martial arts over time. Like this is how it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that he didn't get put to sleep. So
yeah,
that if he got put to sleep, that would have definitely took some time off his career.
Yeah.
It was a mistake, and it's gonna eat him for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I wish we had a UFC person here, but what's worse, being finished by a knockout or being finished by somebody's will? Like somebody imposing their will on you. Like, I want to choke you. And I want you to be well aware that you quit. And how do you recover from quitting? Like you tapped. Like, bro, you got it. How do you recover? Because anybody can be knocked out. I've seen people get chalked out and they go to sleep because they refuse you to impose that I got you. I played chess and I put you in a position I wanted to put you, and now I can do whatever I want to do with you.
I didn't think of it like that.
So
we're comparing. We're comparing two different brain injuries here. We're comparing neurological.
Yeah.
Yo, it's just a straight brain trauma.
Because if you're a fighter, you know you're gonna, even inspiring, they're gonna catch you one time. They caught Tyson. They caught Anthony Joshua, allegedly in Miami, in a boxing gym. People get knocked out, and you just have to shake it off and say, "Well, I didn't see that. I'm still the best." But in boxing, that all rounds unanimous decision, I could not touch him. Canelo versus Mayweather. That is a lesson. That's a Harvard lesson in humble yourself. That breaks you, especially if you think you're that dude. When you,
that's a bad example, because that was the turning point in Canelo's career.
Yeah, but he was young enough to recover. But you imagine if we saw that with Zab Judah after that Floyd Mayweather fight. He was never the same. Again, he was a little older, but he was never the same. We've seen that Marcos Madonna, how he broke AB. He was never the same after that. It wasn't even a knock. It was just, I'm better than you, and you cannot figure my style. And we'll walk anywhere you practice. You just know I'm better than you, unless you just do the Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Part 2, where a guy just makes, beats the crap out of you. And the second time you come up here, you're not going to beat me. I'll die in this ring today. Or Muhammad Ali versus Foreman. I don't care. I'm going to take the punishment. I'll go to the hospital after this fight, but you're not going to impose your will on me. And then the bully now becomes scared. Like UFC, it's the same thing. If somebody chokes you out and you pass out, that's like a knockout. If you tap out, they impose themselves on you. And they're better than you.
So it's psychologically, we have to check on our boy Izzy to see if he's able to bounce back from that, because that's a couple of back-to-back losses, but that we as fans thought was very winnable in both cases. And
I think he was very aware in that moment. Like immediately in the moment, he was aware of what he did wrong, and you can kind of hear it in this post-fight commentary.
Right. So my thing is just wondering, is this a trend of skills deteriorating, or this is just, man, bad luck, bad moment, bad timing, and in a high level of competition.
I didn't think it was the skills as much as the gas tank. And so how much of that was what the takedowns and
Right.
But also, like, to Izzy's defense, this is prize fighting. All those defeats that you're talking about are for the championship. They're just not no regular Joe.
Right.
He was either defending a belt that he had lost, or he's trying to regain a belt. So that can give him, it actually may humble him. Yes, he's going to struggle with this loss. He's going to say, how am I losing again? But again, for a champion, it makes him rediscover that underdog mentality again. Makes him feel less of the pressure of defending this belt 12 times. Maybe makes him change a little bit of habits because he's getting older. Like, you're not going to train like how you train when you were 24, 25 and night behavior and all sorts of things. So, yes, we may be kind of like singing his eulogy as a fighter, like what's next? No, really and truly, like that was a title fight that he lost. So he still has fights. There didn't have to be a title fight. It could be, I'm gonna say gatekeeper for the title.
Well, no, at this point in his career, he's only at this point in his career, he's a name. He's gonna draw championship contention. But what I'm saying is, let's not ignore the trend that we've seen recently.
Right.
Back-to-back winnable fights, mistakes were made, and he came out not being victorious from another champion. But we have astronomical expectations of this man. So it's just one of those things. I would rather, if the skills are deteriorating, I'm more so like, hey, let's bow out gracefully before we see something that we really.
Are you sending them to fight Jake Paul?
Right.
Yo,
look, man, I just don't want to.
Jake Paul is a scavenger, bro.
Yeah, man. Hey,
he's done out here.
Let's make
it.
I'm watching.
He's looking for all retired fighters, bro. Jake Paul looking for all the retired fighters.
Hey, that's funny. Like you said, it's prize fighting. It's entertainment.
Izzy, if you listen to this podcast, Izzy, you have a chance to be Blade. Let's restart the Blade franchise and have you as Blade, bro. You into comics? Blade. I don't know if Wesley Snipes, he's 63, 60. I don't know, 61.
I think they have Mahershala Ali on there.
Yeah. Let's. They got Mahershala Ali's Blade.
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't know.
They've been running into a lot of problems and they've been unsuccessful. And Wesley's kind of like trolling.
The Expendables. Let's start the new Expendables. Yo, Izzy,
you giving the man a new career.
He's definitely got a future beyond the ring. So he's a great entertainment value. Yeah. All right, so we move along in the card.
Yeah,
Kai Kara France versus Steve. Ooh, how do you say that one?
Erceg.
Okay.
Erceg. Yeah, Kai Kara France. I think he's a New Zealander, Australia, but they were fighting in Australia, so maybe he was a New Zealander. He looked like a New Zealander. Easy work, knocked him out in the first round. Got him done with. And I'm talking about Mateus. I'm saying his first name right. Mateus. No. Sorry, I'm reading. Steve. It was a TKO. So for the second time, let's go to the next one. We have Mateus Gumrat versus Danny Hooker. Danny Hooker, I know he's from Australia, and he won that fight to a decision. Boy, he had cuts on his eyes. It was a very, very bloody fight. This was a fight that went all the way, and it was a split decision. Salute to Danny. Hope to see you fight stateside. You showed a very good awareness of the octagon, fought with your heart. When my crew was talking about your tattoos, if you ever stop by here, it would be interesting to explain some of your tattoos. They're very interesting, to say the least. But yeah, salute to Dan Hooker. And
He's got a compelling personality. Another showman, entertainer. Very
entertaining. Yeah. Then this one, I like these two fighters. It's sad that they had to go about it, but that's the business. You like two fighters that day, the best person wins. Taito Avasa versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. You know Rozenstruik from Fighting FC, legend in the kickboxing world. Got beat up by Francis Ngannou, but that's here and there. Tuivasa, they call him Bam Bam. He's known for doing the shoey, where he gets the shoe, puts the beer in the shoe, and chugs it after he knocks out people. Both of these are knockout artists, but guess what? They didn't knock out each other. They went all the way, split decision, and Rozenstruik won. On to the next one. But this one was kind of sad. I messed with my boy Li Jingliang. Li Jingliang. He's been in the UFC for quite a bit. Tough guy, man. Tough guy from China. Hard body. Versus Carlos Preza from Brazil. My man was put to sleep. Put to sleep. NyQuil. In the second round, 4 minutes and 2 seconds. It was nasty. It was a combination of punches and, he was given the tranquilizer and he was asleep. They had to bring the paramedics. They had to give him the famous onion. Is it the onion, the stuff that wakes you up? The one that, kind of like... Yeah, they had to give him the onion. They had to, they had to like kind of bring him back to life. It was a nasty. I wouldn't say it's death by 1,000 cuts, but he got combinations. Kind of like was pissed off at the referee for not stopping it, but the referee let this dude tee off and knocked him out. But he was already staggering and fumbling and stumbling before the knockout. In round one, you could see that this dude is just fighting off heart, and that's pretty much my roundup for the UFC. Fellas, do you have anything to add to this? Any conversation in the boxing world? Last week, Kam Gee talked about officiating and
judging, officiating.
Yeah. I kind of took it to judging.
Judging, officiating, not the referee officiating.
Right.
You got another topic to close on, so it could.
Well, as of tonight, Shakur Stevenson's fight was made. He will be fighting later this year. I had his fight pulled up. So Shakur Stevenson will be fighting Joe Cardina here later this year. This was just made a couple hours ago.
All right.
Joe Cardina. So Shakur Stevenson back in the ring, coming up here soon.
Is that that's a deal with the Zone, or what is that deal with now?
Actually, that's a great question because he's a free agent. It's not showing up on his box rec though, but the fight was made a couple hours ago.
Okay, all right.
So he'll be fighting later this year, and then of course we got Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois fighting on the heavyweight side coming up. But as far as Shakur though, I mean, you want to see the big fights at this point. You're not really too intrigued as a fan of the sweet science. We're trying to see the big fights, the big names.
Well, wasn't we talking about Loma, and Loma just like no?
Loma was like, yeah, I'm about to go chill in my home country or whatever he's talking about. Which
is this quiet quitting from Loma?
I think it's possible. He's getting up there in age, and then these guys didn't really give him that respect because he had all these amateur fights, and then he was getting championship fights at 8, 9, 10 fights, which some people frown upon, but you have to, the context of the situation. It was a high level fighter.
He got his. What more could he ask for?
Right. So at this point, if he decides to leave the sport, I'm not mad at it at all.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it all. He tried to make fights. They wouldn't make the fight. Hey, he's getting up in age. You saw with Dravenchenko, he's 38 years old, fighting on one arm. You're more susceptible to those type of injuries. Your life becomes a little more real, your mortality. So I'm not mad at it. It's just seeing Shakur get a fight against somebody that we really aren't that concerned with. It's like, oh my god, here we go again.
Yeah. He would be a good gatekeeper though.
Bro.
Hey, he not a pushover. And I had him beating Haney, so that's just me.
Yeah. Lomachenko has 396 amateur fights. Wow.
Up there.
Wow.
Up there. So
wow.
Somebody that has earned the right to quietly quit, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But, coming up, I guess, just a look ahead on fights. You got Anyway fighting September 3rd.
Mm-hmm. Is his nickname like Monster? He has a nickname.
Is that what they call him? The
not Japanese monster. He has a nickname. Like I finally got his nickname here. Like, yeah. While you talk about the future fights, I just want to confirm.
Yeah. And then so we got Anyway September 3rd in Tokyo. So that'll be an early morning situation to watch that fight.
That's what
September 14th, you got Canelo versus Berlanga on. That'll be a prime video showing.
Mm-hmm.
And then around up September, you have in London the Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a fight I'm most interested to see over the course of the next.
You said September 25th?
September 21st on the Zone pay-per-view. You have Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua, 12-round fight out in London. I don't know if they're going to be at Wembley.
That's a good question. Usually they have it at either the O2 or Wembley.
Yeah, but I think that's an intriguing fight at this point in both their careers. So just a look ahead. Hey, we got good fights. That's
absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, by the way, Inouye's nickname is Monster. I thought I was tripping. Like in Japan, they call it Monster.
Yeah, it sounded right.
Monster. Yo,
I got some thoughts I've been holding in. I'm gonna keep them. And I'm gonna let them out here in the next couple of weeks, though.
Okay. All right.
To those that are watching this, I hate to say this, but I learned by other YouTube content creators: like, subscribe, comment below. If you think we are just talking about stuff we don't know, you could comment. We need all the engagement that we could get. Just like we do it every week. We'll be back again, hopefully Sunday, with a live stream. So bring your popcorn. There's always going to be a fight week every week. Whether there's no fights, we'll have conversation. I may surprise y'all and bring the band together and do a live watch along if everybody's available, or invite a fighter to our show so we could just talk about fighting. Like who's fighting, but. It's been another episode of Who's Fighting Cam LT. Who is fighting?